Ladies and gentlemen, how often do we hear the advice, just be nice and they will change? How often do we exhaust ourselves trying to please someone who is impossible to satisfy? There comes a moment when you have to wake up to the truth. You cannot heal a narcissist with kindness. They don't respect it. They exploit it. A narcissist's manipulation is one of the most destructive forces in relationships, whether personal, professional, or even within the church. They operate with deception, using charm, guilt, and emotional tactics to keep you under their control. Recognizing this manipulation is the first step toward breaking free. Many people believe that if they just love harder, forgive more, or are more patient, they can change a narcissist. But the truth is, a narcissist thrives on manipulation and control. They do not seek a relationship based on mutual respect. They seek power. The Bible warns us about such individuals in 2 Timothy 3:5. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such, turn away. Narcissists fit this description perfectly. They put themselves above all else, manipulating others for their own benefit. They lie without remorse, twist the truth to suit their agenda, and gaslight their victims into doubting their own perceptions. If you have ever found yourself in a cycle where you constantly feel guilty, confused, or exhausted after every interaction with someone, you might be dealing with a narcissist. This is not a normal relationship pattern. It is emotional abuse. Many people are caught in this cycle because they fail to recognize the manipulation at play. One of the most common tactics narcissists use is gaslighting. This is where they distort reality to make you question your own memory, perception, or sanity. For example, you may recall a conversation where they said something hurtful, but when you confront them about it, they flat out deny it or accuse you of imagining things. Over time, this makes you doubt yourself, making you more dependent on the narcissist for clarity. This is dangerous because it gives them complete control over your emotions and decisions. The Bible tells us in John 8:32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Recognizing manipulation is the first step toward walking in the freedom God intended for you. Another tool in a narcissist's arsenal is love bombing. This is when they overwhelm you with excessive flattery, attention, and gifts to create a deep emotional bond quickly. They want you to trust them and feel special, but this is not genuine love, it's a setup. Once they feel you are emotionally attached, the treatment shifts. They become critical, dismissive, or even cruel. But because you experienced the intense affection at the beginning, you hold on to the hope that they will return to that loving person you once knew. This is the trap that keeps many people stuck in toxic relationships. Narcissists are also masters of playing the victim. When confronted with their behavior, they will twist the situation to make it seem like they are the ones being mistreated. They will cry, make excuses, or even use your faith against you, saying things like, "Aren't Christians supposed to forgive?" They weaponize guilt to avoid accountability. While forgiveness is a biblical principle, it does not mean tolerating abuse. Jesus himself set boundaries and walked away from those who sought to harm him. Another form of manipulation is triangulation, where a narcissist brings a third party into a situation to validate their point of view. This could be a mutual friend, a pastor, or even a family member whom they turn against you, suddenly you find yourself defending your position to multiple people, making you feel isolated and wrong. This is deliberate. They want you to feel like the problem is you, so that you become more compliant to their control. One of the most damaging aspects of narcissistic manipulation is how it affects your self-worth. Over time, constant criticism and emotional manipulation can make you feel inadequate, as if you are not good enough. You may start to believe their lies about you, leading to anxiety, depression, and even a sense of hopelessness. This is not what God intended for you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 139:14, and no person has the right to rob you of your God-given identity. Recognizing a narcissist's manipulation means accepting the painful truth that they will not change simply because you love them enough. It means understanding that no amount of kindness, reasoning, or patience will make them suddenly become self-aware and start treating you with the respect you deserve. A narcissist does not operate on empathy. They operate on self-interest. They do not change because they do not see anything wrong with themselves. This is why the Bible advises us in Proverbs 22:24-25, do not make friends with a hot-tempered person. Do not associate with one easily angered, or you may learn their ways and get yourself ensnared. So what do? You stop engaging in their games. You refuse to be manipulated. You recognize their tactics and respond with wisdom. This is not about revenge or hate. It is about protecting your peace and honoring the person God created you to be. Recognizing manipulation is the first step to freedom, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Setting firm boundaries with a narcissist is not just an option. It is a necessity. Narcissists do not respect kindness, nor do they appreciate patience or self-sacrifice. Instead, they take advantage of those who do not stand up for themselves. The Bible teaches us the importance of guarding our hearts in Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. When dealing with a narcissist, boundaries serve as the shield that protects your heart, mind, and emotional well-being. One of the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with a narcissist is assuming that if they just love them more, tolerate their behavior longer, or become more understanding, the narcissist will eventually change. But that is not how a narcissist operates. They do not see others as equals in a relationship. They see them as tools to be used. Their goal is control, and the moment they realize that someone is willing to bend over backward for them, they will exploit that weakness. They push limits, test patience, and manipulate emotions until they are in complete control. This is why setting firm boundaries is critical. A boundary is a clear line that defines what behavior you will and will not accept. It is not a suggestion, it is a rule. One of the most effective ways to set a boundary with a narcissist is to say no without explanation, without justification, and without guilt. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear conflict, rejection, or being seen as unkind. However, when dealing with a narcissist, giving in to that fear is exactly what they want. The more reluctant you are to set boundaries, the more power they gain over you. Narcissists will always test boundaries to see if they can break them. The moment you say no, they will push back with manipulation. They will play the victim, act hurt, or even lash out in anger. This is their way of trying to make you feel guilty, so you'll retract your boundary. But a boundary is not truly a boundary unless you enforce it. Saying no and then caving in when they apply pressure sends the message that you don't actually mean it. You must stand firm, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Another crucial aspect of setting boundaries is not explaining yourself. Many people feel the need to justify their boundaries, believing that if they provide a logical reason, the narcissist will understand and respect it. But narcissists do not operate on logic and fairness. They operate on self-interest. If you explain why you are setting a boundary, they will look for loopholes, twist your words, and manipulate your reasoning to suit their agenda. Instead of saying, "I can't talk right now because I'm overwhelmed," simply say, "I can't talk right now." No explanations, no room for debate. The Bible teaches us in Matthew 5:37, "Let your yes be yes and your no, no, for whatever is more than these is from the evil one." This verse is a powerful reminder that we do not need to over-explain ourselves. Our words should be firm and clear. If we say no, it should mean no. If we allow others to pressure us into justifying our decisions, we open the door to manipulation. It is also important to set boundaries on communication. Narcissists thrive on drama, and they will bait you into arguments and emotional discussions simply to wear you down. One of the best boundaries you can set is limiting your interactions with them. If possible, keep conversations short, direct, and emotionless. Do not engage in their games. If they try to provoke you, refuse to react. They want to see you frustrated because it gives them power. When you remain calm and detached, they lose their ability to control you. Another area where boundaries are necessary is protecting your time and energy. A narcissist will take as much as you give. They will demand your attention, expect you to drop everything for them, and guilt trip you if you don't comply. You must set firm limits on how much time and energy you are willing to invest. If you have other commitments, stick to them. If they try to guilt you into prioritizing them over everything else, recognize it as manipulation and hold your ground. Your time is valuable, and it is not theirs to dictate. Setting boundaries also means rejecting the toxic cycle of guilt and obligation. A narcissist will use past favors, shared history, or even religious principles to make you feel obligated to comply with their demands. They will say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" Or "A good Christian wouldn't abandon someone who needs help." But true Christianity does not mean allowing yourself to be used and abused. Jesus himself set boundaries, walked away from toxic people, and did not allow others to control him. Many people fear setting boundaries because they are afraid of the narcissist's reaction, but that fear is exactly what keeps them trapped. The truth is, narcissists will never be happy with your boundaries. They will try to guilt trip you, argue, and even retaliate. But their reaction is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to protect your peace, guard your heart, and honor the person God created you to be. Boundaries are not about punishing the narcissist. They are about protecting yourself. Once you start setting them, you will begin to experience the freedom and peace that God intended for you. Stop seeking the approval of a narcissist because it will never come in the way you hope. Narcissists are not wired to give genuine validation to others unless it benefits them. They thrive on control, and one of their most effective tactics is keeping you in a state of emotional dependency, always craving their approval but never quite receiving it. This cycle keeps you trapped. constantly trying to prove your worth, meet their impossible standards, and gain their recognition. But no matter what you do, it will never be enough. The Bible reminds us in Galatians 1:10, "For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ." The approval of people, especially a narcissist, is fleeting and unreliable. Instead of wasting energy chasing validation from someone who only sees you as a tool, shift your focus to the one whose approval truly matters. A narcissist operates by making you feel like you constantly need to prove yourself. They dangle approval like a carrot on a stick, just out of reach, so that you keep chasing it. One moment they may give you a small compliment or show appreciation, making you believe that if you just try a little harder, they will finally recognize your worth. But the moment you get close, they snatch it away with criticism, indifference, or emotional distance. This is deliberate. It keeps you hooked, desperate to please them, afraid of doing anything that might cause them to withdraw completely. Over time, this cycle erodes your self-esteem. You begin to believe that you are not good enough, that maybe if you change yourself, they will finally love and appreciate you. But that day never comes. The more you seek approval from a narcissist, the more control they have over you. They know exactly how to manipulate your emotions, using your desire for validation against you. They will reward compliance with temporary kindness, making you feel special, only to tear you down again when it suits them. This is called intermittent reinforcement, and it is one of the strongest psychological traps a person can fall into. It creates an addiction to their approval because the moments of praise become rare and unpredictable, making them feel even more valuable. This is how people end up stuck in toxic relationships, whether romantic, familial, or even within the church. A narcissist's approval is not based on your true worth or achievements. It is based on how useful you are to them at any given moment. If you do something that benefits them, they may give you some temporary praise, but the moment you assert yourself, set boundaries, or stop catering to their ego, they will withdraw their approval and make you feel like you are unworthy. This is why seeking their validation is a never-ending and exhausting pursuit. The Bible teaches in Psalm 119:18, "It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man." When you look to a narcissist for your sense of worth, you are placing your trust in someone who does not have your best interest at heart. True confidence and self-worth come from knowing who you are in God, not from the shifting opinions of a self-centered person. One of the biggest lies a narcissist wants you to believe is that your worth is dependent on their approval. They want you to think that without their validation, you are nothing. This is why they criticize, belittle, or ignore you when you do something great. If you accomplish something, they may downplay it or make it seem insignificant. If you receive praise from others, they may try to steal the spotlight or subtly make you feel like you don't deserve it. This is intentional. They do not want you to feel confident or secure in yourself because that would mean you no longer need them. Their worst fear is losing control over you, so they keep you in a state of self-doubt, always looking to them for affirmation. Breaking free from this cycle starts with recognizing that their approval is meaningless. A narcissist's opinion of you does not define your value. Their inability to appreciate you does not mean you are unworthy. When you stop seeking their validation, you take back your power. You begin to see that your worth is not determined by how much you can please them, but by the unchanging truth of who you are in Christ. You were created with purpose, loved unconditionally, and designed for more than constantly trying to prove yourself to someone who will never be satisfied. When you stop chasing a narcissist's approval, you also begin to heal. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop making decisions based on how they will react. You start living for yourself instead of living for their acceptance. This is where true freedom begins. Narcissists lose their control over you the moment you stop caring about what they think, the moment their approval no longer dictates your emotions, actions, or self-worth. They lose the ability to manipulate you. They may try harder at first, using guilt, anger, or fake affection to pull you back into the cycle, but when you remain firm, they will eventually realize that their tactics no longer work. This is not about becoming arrogant or uncaring. It is about reclaiming your identity. It is about realizing that you do not need their approval to be valuable. You do not need their validation to be worthy of love, success, and happiness. You were never created to live under the control of another person's opinion. You were created to walk in confidence, knowing that your worth is already established by the one who made you. When you let go of the need for a narcissist's approval, you step into a life of true freedom, self-respect, and peace.